Good afternoon, everybody. And welcome to the studio. Let's see if we can do... Hey, there we are. Welcome, welcome. We've got the real star of the show here, so that's the most important thing. There we go. There we go. We got to be front and center. Hey, crazy cat lady. And the ads just started. Sorry about that. Usually I wait till the ads have already gone when we start up, but I forgot about it. We're not going to have music today because Pretzel Rocks has something wrong with it. Here, I've got your water over here. You don't want that either. Come on. Come on. Yeah. See, you can make it. You gonna sit right here next to me? Come on. See? See, you got water over here. Oh, gosh. I didn't expect him to make that jump. But I guess he's done it before, because he was very confident. He's out of here. He doesn't want my water. He wants to go drink out of a puddle. You're back from ads, and of course Kiba's gone now. He'll be back. I know he'll be back. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. See, I do know what day it is. Daniel is on his way to TwitchCon. He is somewhere around New Mexico. He's moving right along. I will be meeting him there. Yes, so I'm flying out Thursday morning in the very wee hours to get there and set up. So we set up for TwitchCon on Thursday, and then the show is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for people in the Artist Alley and vendors and such. And in the meantime, I am making some more things so that they can dry out. Today I'm making some of the 10-ounce mugs. I'm going to make this one and measure it and just make sure we're the right height here. That is good. So let's adjust my guide here. I'm using a guide. Whoa, no, what is that? What? There it is. There's the guide. I could just use the cat bed, but I'll do this. And we'll cut it off. So yeah, this year we both get to go to TwitchCon. Last year I was there by myself because we were double booked. We had 2 shows the same weekend. Thankfully, there's a little bit of space between them this year. But like September and October is like the season for shows. If there's gonna be if a group is gonna put on an event, it's gonna be in September or October, mostly October. So it's we are busy. So I'm glad they had a TwitchCon in September instead of October this year. Yeah, you've got a few craft fairs coming up to sell your crocheted goodies. Nice. What are you making this year? Or what are you making? You may have made all these things before. Blanket, scarves, sweaters, and plush goodies, yes. That's probably what you sell the most of, isn't it? Do you ever do any like little like cat toys? Though I see more of those like felted. I've got a few little jingly bell cat toys that are felted with a little bell in them that the cats will play with and lose and find and then lose and find again. Catnip mice, nice. Yeah, so we don't have any music today. Pretzel Rocks was having some issues, so... But I think the sound of the wheel is pretty relaxing, so we'll see. So I hope it is for you as well. So I want this to be a chill stream. Don't want to get on anybody's nerves. So I know I want to do, I think 60 of these. And by these, I mean the 10-ounce mugs, and then I may make some more of this size into spoon rest, because I've got quite a few of these little pieces of clay measured out. This is 12 ounces of clay, so 3/4 of a pound. And I use it for the 10-ounce mugs, the potion bottles, and spoon rests. And little, like, small spice bowls or sauce dishes. Hey, Neuron. Good afternoon or good evening. Shoo. Got a bit of wonkiness going on there. It doesn't want to be very tall, so let's give it some help. I think it keeps wanting to get wider rather than taller. Come on, stay with me now. I think I was just bragging the other day. I'm like, oh yeah, the 10-ounce mugs, they hardly ever collapse. There we go. That's better. We fixed it. What was that sound? Was that a notification or was that something messed up? Well, it wasn't the cameras. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. I've been listening to one called the Three Ravens podcast, which I really, really like, and I'm finally caught up with it all, so I'm current. But it goes through folklore of the different counties in England, and they go through and talk about the history of a region and go over some of the folklore found there, and then they make up a story of their own to tell at the end. So I have really been enjoying it. And so a lot of folklore has to do with ghost stories, right? And so there's a whole lot of ghost stories. And so when I've been filling my head with ghost stories, sometimes I get spooked by things around me, and that happened last night. I was here later in the evening making some things. So I was up in the front of the studio at my slab roller, and I heard something like knock against the front door, and I look up, and it's dark outside, and there's the silhouette of a child with their face pressed against the front of my window. And with all the ghost story things that have been going through my head, it like scared me for a second. Because especially you don't expect a child to be out at night, but it was like a family who were walking and they were looking in the window to see if they could see the cats. But like that's not something you need to be seeing when you've been like listening to ghost stories. But I think like I've never been one. I'm not like a huge horror movie fan, or I don't enjoy scary stories for the joy of being scared. But I've enjoyed the history of and hearing the history and the origins of a lot of folk tales, and oh, this is why they may have had that story, and this, you know. And after last night, I can see how people, you know, how sometimes stories of ghosts can get started too. Seeing children out and about when you don't expect them. But I get that a lot if I'm here early in the morning, like people walking their dogs and stuff, or just out, doing morning exercise, and people will just stop and do the look through the window, and whew. So as I'm thinking about pieces to make for the fall, like I may make some soup bowls. Well, I'm going to make some soup bowls. I may make them today. I may make them tomorrow. What do y'all think about my flower pots? My punny flower pots. Punny plant pots. That's what we called them. Do you think they'd be good? They're good. Gonna be good in the fall. Like I made them for the springtime, but I didn't know if they would be as popular in the fall. But they're always kind of like a gift giving thing too. So I may make another batch of those. I need to make, well actually that's this size too. I need to make some of the air plant pots. And that's basically this exact shape, just with a little face cut in it. And with those, I get to like play with the colors. I get to just make them in a bunch of bright, fun colors. Because those are the ones that tend to sell first. Hey, Belzy. Good afternoon. When I'm doing a bunch of these little bitty pieces, I've got to be wary of my fingers. It's easy to let my fingers kind of drag along the wheel head, but then that's how I end up like shaving off my fingernails. And I just felt a bit of my fingernail go there. Belzy, you need to find inspirations for your pottery class. You'll do a closed throne pieces and you don't know what to do. Belzy, pumpkins. Pumpkins. That's actually how I make my pumpkins. A small closed form. You can also make them flat and shallow, like the ikabanas. And if you do the enclosed form, and then you can make a off-center hole, what's the asymmetric hole? Yeah, that needs to be bigger. I have also made teapots that way before. I've made little like spheres and close them in, and then like cut out an irregular shaped lid, and just let that, you know, because it holds the shape, and let that be a lid, and then added all the stuff to it, like spout and handle and such. The other thing you can do with that is making an enclosed form, like, and then cutting, you know, an irregular lid off the top, and making that a lantern, and then cutting a bunch of holes in it. All right, we'll be back after the ads. That's a good time for me to hydrate. Even though it's only 9 pieces. Yeah, there you are. Pumpkin. That's a good idea. Yes, and so my pumpkins, I don't know what the rules of your assignment are, but like my pumpkins, I make them hollow. So I open it up and make a big dome. Because mostly they're decorative, right? And you can cut things out of it, and it doesn't have to be a pumpkin, I guess. You could just make it a lantern or whatnot without the base. And you can always make a little plate to give it a bottom. Trying to think of what else could be good enclosed forms. I mean, you could also go with Christmas trees. You know, make a really tall enclosed form and give it a swirl. And call it a Christmas tree. Most people do garlic jars and cut the top of the closed jar to make the lid. Yes. One thing I did earlier this year, I was talking about my like flower pots, thinking about enclosed jars again, is I made some like flat enclosed pieces like the ikebanas, and then I like chopped the top off of them so that they would be a wall pocket, kind of a round wall pocket. A bird feeder, yeah. Oh, found many. Is Kiba back outside? I went and got him. He came in and got a few pets, but then went right back outside. Oh, Belzy, yeah, that's a good idea. Like the shape like a water droplet, so yeah, it's wider at the bottom, and then you could just have it put a little loop or a hole in the top to hang it by. Yeah, the yarn bells that I make, which are the wide domes without the base, they are all but an enclosed form because they're a dome. I leave a little bit, like maybe like a quarter size hole at the top, but they could very well be enclosed forms. And I've seen people make things like that before, and then like sculpt faces into them instead of face jugs. Have face yarn bells or tissue holders. Where the hole is somewhere else, like coming out of somebody's nose or their ear or something. But I know that all depends on how long you get to work on your project and how big you can make it. Are y'all hearing music or anything? Are you hearing anything besides me? Because like the now that I look at it, it says something is being picked up. Huh. You've got about 2 hours. Gotcha. No music. Okay. Well, I knew because I usually use Pretzel Rocks, which is a music service that provides like non-copyright music for streaming and such. But they were having difficulties today, so. Woo! I don't know if I can fix that one. Yeah, it's. I mean, it came off evenly, but it's all wadded up now. I don't know. Let's see how big of a thing I can make with this. That was quite a bit lost. Let's see. Billsy, how much longer do you have in your class? That'll work. You still have 8 classes. You still got a while to go. You can do larger things now. You had a coach class at the end of August, and you successfully made a big Viking jar. What are you calling a Viking jar? Oh, really? It's based on archaeological finds. It's kind of like a cooking pot shape, kind of like an urn. Ooh. Oh yeah, you do reenactments. So your group is super excited that you can do historical-ish pottery. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the word for a traditional cooking pot, like a three-legged cooking pot. Because I knew someone who was making them for a similar reason for like Ren Fair SCA reenactments and such. But it was basically like a earthenware, like rounded, a pot with a rounded bottom instead of it being flat, like distributed heat more evenly so it wouldn't break the pot if set over a campfire, which I found interesting. Interesting that the shape is so much more important than the clay body. Because I say all the time, don't put any of this stuff on the stovetop because it will explode. But I wonder if that also has to do with like the amount of heat, direct heat, going on to something versus what you're going to get from a campfire. I did one time make a flask for somebody. They were like, they showed me pictures and they wanted like a amphorae type flask, and so I made one, about yay big or whatever, but it was like pointed on the bottom and had little like handles at the top, so you could like tie it onto their belt or whatever. It was supposedly more of a Roman era. Ads again. It's a good time for me to take a drink. Because we are at 19 pieces now. Palsy, thank you for the resub. No more ads for you. I don't know what I keep getting notifications for. Oh, the last part of the round bottomed pot story. Well, like for a they made them out of earthenware clay as a low fire clay, and I don't think they were glazed, maybe on the inside, but it was like a round bottom pot, and they had like made it a tripod, so three legs on it, but because it was rounded on the bottom instead of being like flat with curved sides like this, it was completely round. Like that allowed the heat from like a campfire to be dispersed more evenly around the pot, so putting it on a campfire would not cause it to explode. Because with my pots, I'm constantly saying, I tell people, don't put it on the eye, don't put it on the stovetop, because it will make it explode. But that is also much more of a direct, intense heat than maybe a campfire would be. I don't know, but I find it interesting that the shape of the pot was so much more important than the clay body, because now we think of, there are certain clay bodies that you can use to put on the stovetop that distribute the heat easy better, but just the shape of a pot to distribute the heat I find interesting. But I forget what it was called, what that type of pot was called. And I was asked once to make a flask or like a canteen for someone for their like they had a Roman officer uniform and they wanted a clay canteen, and so it was like a mini amphorae. So it had like, so it was like a bottle with a you know, small hole to drink out of, but then it had like a pointed bottom, or like you'd think of the big amphora jars, and then little two little handles on it to tie, you know, tie onto your belt. That's my, you know, somewhat historically accurate remakes. You've got to make your way through German archaeology books to know more. Ooh. Say, oh, you can read and write in French and English, but German is not one of your skills. You need Google Translate. Google Translate is a wonderful thing. I just hope you don't have to like weed through all kinds of like AI crap. throwing things around. And not in that productive way. I think this one is I'm starting number 27 here. At least it stayed a little bit together. Well, let's see how it goes. I think it'll work. I think it'll work. Junkyard! Hanging out in just a few days, hey! I know, Daniel is on his way. I believe he might even be close to New Mexico now. I know he was going to be, one of the options for stopping tonight was going to be, Albuquerque, where the towels are so fluffy. I think he's going to get past that tonight. He left yesterday morning. He was giving himself plenty of time to get out there. He is feeling better. He is. And that's one thing I told I told him. I'm like, take your time. If you have any questions at all, if you start to feel anything at all, just stop. But no, he is getting better. It was definitely a very scary couple of weeks. Oh, paying bills is important. Paying bills is more important. So yeah, I fly out on Thursday morning, so I might actually beat you there. Hey, Underground. Good afternoon. So yeah, while Daniel's on the way to TwitchCon, I'm working on some stuff for orders and then stuff for the next show. So I want to make, so we are at 31. That is number 31, and I'm going to be making at least 60 of these because that's what I have room for here. And then I may make something different. I may make some like spoon rests or something out of this size. These are the 10-ounce mugs. I'm using the 3/4 of a pound of clay. Kiratissa, whoa, thank you for the raid. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. Complete Walking Smith, hello. Welcome, welcome. I'm working on trying to make it muggy in here. I'm making some drinking vessels out of clay. So I'll try not to splash any of it on you, any of the clay that I'm slinging around. So that was quick. Yeah. I've had a bit of practice at making these guys. Like I said, this is number 63 for the day. Where am I going to put these? There we go. There we go. What did I say, 63? I meant 33. 33, my goal is 60. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So, Kirtissa, am I saying your name right? Because I would much rather be corrected than like saying it wrong. What do you like to go by? But thank you again for the raid. What were you working on today? Oh, good. And because, like, I try to hydrate after every 10 pieces, but I always forget. So now we're at 33. I'm going to remember to hydrate. So I'm making these guys for an order. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Amanda, and I'm a full-time potter here, myself and my husband. My husband is actually on his way to TwitchCon right now. I'll be flying out to join him on Thursday. So we're going to set up a booth and be selling our pottery out there. I say way out there because it's in San Diego and we are in Kentucky. That's where I am right now. So it is, the convention center is exactly 2,001 miles from our house. But I am making these for orders, and then I'm gonna be making some pieces for stock for our shop and for some of the shows we've got coming up. Yeah, Junkyard will be there too. You're telling as many people as you can to stop by the booth. Thank you. You like the glazing? Yeah, the glazing showcase, my glaze samples. So I made those. So they're actually like little pots that I cut in half. So you can see the glazes, and I take that with me when I do wholesale shows, or my shows, plural, my one wholesale show that I do. That's what I made it for, so I could take it, and when I do a wholesale show, I make like one or two of everything that I'm wanting to take orders for, and make those in like one color, so people can see the forms, and then I have that so people can see all the different colors, instead of trying to make things, in every color. I don't have that much room. And then the rest of the time it lives here. And sometimes we have a cat. Right now we don't. Like they're here in the building, or they're right outside the building. They're just not in their comfy cat bed here. Oh, underground. So, Curtissa, you work on everything. You had a ring, a pendant, and some earrings. You're a goldsmith, so a lot of metal and fire, yes. We also like to set things on fire. I will have to do a raku firing before too long, if nothing else, to do some more Christmas ornaments. But if I can get around to it, I'll try to make some more pumpkins. So is raku food safe? No, it is not. One of the main reasons is because the raku firing does not get hot enough to actually seal the clay or the glaze, so the pots are still going to be porous. It's purely decorative. You may have heard of like the history of the raku technique is involved in like a tea ceremony, but it really so people. You could drink tea out of a freshly fired raku pot or any raku pot, but drink it quickly because it's gonna seep out. It's not gonna hold that tea for very long. So for ceremonial purposes, it you could use them, but it's not gonna last for a while. It's not meant to hold water for a long time. So how likely is a product to fail during the firing? That depends on a lot of things. So one of the main reasons that pots explode or crack in the kiln, mostly explosions, are caused by too much moisture. So if the pot is put into a kiln before it's completely dried, it's going to if not like explode like a bomb, it's going to crumble, which is what mostly happens to me sometimes. And sometimes, cracks can form. What will happen is maybe a pot will get bumped while you're moving it around, and you won't see a hairline crack until it's put through the firing, and then, oh, there it is. But it is always a possibility. There are many, many, many opportunities for a piece to fail. Because it's clay, it is fragile. And we heat it up to 2232 degrees Fahrenheit. Sometimes what simply happens is maybe the glaze that you put on it runs too much, and so it sticks to the kiln shelf, and then you've got to get it off with a hammer. Or if the pieces are too close to one another, they might stick to each other. Because the glaze will, if the glaze when it melts, and if two pieces are too close and they stick together, then as it cools, they're going to be one piece instead of two. Sounds like forever to be at such a high temperature. So it takes about in my kiln, because I can fit well over 100 of these pieces in one of my kilns. Okay, and so it takes 8 hours to reach that temperature. But once you get to that temperature, it hits that temperature and then it shuts off. And then you've got to cool down for another 12 hours. So you don't want to stay at that temperature very long. You want the glazes to just melt a little bit. And then shut it off so it'll cool down. And so they won't continue to run. If something happens and it sits at that temperature for a long time, even 5 minutes, sometimes that's enough to cause the glaze to just completely run off the pot. And then you've got a mess. I've seen horror stories of people that the kiln did not shut off, so it just kept going. And they ended up with everything inside the kiln melting and looking like marshmallow cream. Almost as stressful as enameling, yeah. Like I said, there's so many possibilities for failure, but also, so many things turn out nice. There can be disasters and pieces, break or pieces don't turn out in any craft. I take a lot of custom orders, and so what I do is like this. If I've got an order of 50 of these mugs that all need to have the same thing on them, I'm going to make at least 55. Just because I know one of them's going to break. One of them's, something's going to happen to one of them. Or a couple of them at least. And, but with clay though, you can if something breaks before it's been fired, I can reuse the clay. And that's a good thing. So there's very little waste. If I catch an issue before it's been fired, it's much more worth it to reclaim the clay, start over, than to hope that it's not bad, because once it's fired and you find a crack or something, it's it's done. It's just trash. Crazy cat lady. Did your daughter like the mug? I know you sent me the picture, but I hope she likes it too. That bunny almost looked like it could fit inside the mug. I don't know, are bunnies like cats? Do they like if I sits, I fits? Or if I fits, I sits? Depends on the bunny, yeah. So underground, could I take the smash therapy pots and sell it as ceramic media for rock tumbling? I don't know. I don't know if it's just fired clay or if it's a certain type of fired clay or how fine it needs to be. Is the fact that there's glaze on it matter? I don't know. I have to look into that. Or filter media for pool filters. Why did I think that's graphite? Do I ever use templates to get the exact shape, or is it always done by hand? Well, I measure. So right now I'm measuring because I set up a guide in OBS so I can see how tall everything is. And on the camera, you can tell, like right now, I'm basically going to the bottom of the cat bed for the height of these. So for the mugs, like they're all going to be a little bit different, but I'm measuring the height to make sure they're all the same size. But no, I've not used a template like that because mostly like the things that I've done custom have been size based, so they needed to be X wide by maybe X tall, and so I had to do the math to figure out how big I needed to make it to account for shrinkage and stuff. But there's always been like a little bit of wiggle room. Whoop, nope, tile. Some bunnies do like to sit and stay in small spaces. That's why they were used in magic tricks like the bunny in the hat. Oh, good point. Hadn't thought about that. Belzy, have a good evening. Thanks for stopping by. And talking back to undergrounds, like the uses for fired pottery, like ground up fired clay is called grog, and I don't know if that's exactly what's used for like rock tumbling or what that is, but you can, like, there is a use for ground up fired clay. Or sometimes they add it back to a clay body to make it withstand more like a thermal shock, like for use in bricks. Like if you ever feel of a building brick, you know it's very rough to the touch, and that's because it's got grit in it. And when I've been talking about doing the raku pots, they will also have a coarse texture because, for the same reason, it's got grog in them, so that the pieces can withstand the thermal shock of the raku process. Because with that, we take the pieces out of the kiln when they're glowing red hot, and then do different surface treatments to them. All right, we have 40 pieces. And I'm going to remember to hydrate. So Underground, I know you've read the Dresden Files. You and Marsha both. Has anybody else here read the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher? He was at Dragon Con. And I think even if I had been able to like go stand in line, I still don't think I would have gotten to see him. But anyway, like that's Daniel took the first couple audiobooks with him on the drive, so I'm going to see if he gets around to listening to them. He's never he was, but I don't know how many days he was there, but he was on the list. Yep, and he's like been there before. I don't know what he was promoting though, because we were. I don't think I even realized he was there until we were there already. So. But anyway, I want to see if Daniel like gets around to listening to them, and to hear his opinion of them. You started the new Deborah Harkness book, yes. So I listened to it. I don't know if you're reading or listening to it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I won't talk about it until you get done with it. I might even go back and listen to it again. I've had several authors come out with like new books in the past few months. Cloverfields, why does it spin? It spins so that I can make the pots. So that I can use the centrifugal force to move the clay around. You went through 7 chapters yesterday. Okay, so you got past chapter 6. That was like the, what was it? It was like you can download a family tree chart when you buy the audiobook, but it says don't look at it until you get past chapter 6. And right now, I forget what even chapter 6 is. Yeah. Hey, Lassa, good afternoon. Oh, okay, that's where okay. No, I really enjoy just the expansion of the world building of the world of witches, you know, in her universe. Because you feel like you focus so much on the like vampire side, and I just love the fleshing out of the witches side. Plus some of the podcasts I've been listening to have been like the history of different folklore stories and such, and so it goes into the history of witches and why people were accused and this and that. So I've been listening to kind of like the history of witchcraft and stories and such like that and lore, and then went right, so it fed right into that. Really underground. You read all of them, but the last 2. So Jim Butcher is writing the Aeronauts Windless series, and that's among your all-time favorites. Really, I read the first one, but I never read the second one, so maybe that's what he was promoting. Did you read the one that was like roughly based on like Roman soldiers? I did enjoy that one. So Clover, we're talking about, at the same time we're talking about Jim Butcher's Dresden Files, which is an urban fantasy series, and then also Deborah Harkness has just come out with another book in her series, but the main series is the Discovery of Witches. A Discovery of Witches is the first book. And there are 5 now. 3 of the main story, and then this is the second book where she is kind of fleshing out some of the other characters and the world. So at Dragon Con, I brought some of the Discovery of Witches mugs that I made, and because if anywhere, they're going to sell there, because Dragon Con, there's, you know, it's author and book heavy. And sure enough, somebody saw the Knights of Lazarus mug, and they're like, I would like the Knights of Lazarus mug, and they said it like that. You know, most people ask, what is this from? But they said that. I'm like, so have you read the new book? It's like, yes, and they're like, oh yes, I am a speaker at the All Souls convention. I'm like, ooh. Which, Colleen, it must be up closer to you than me. Where is it at? Do you know where that one's at? Polly, you just finished the Discovery of Witches series on Netflix. What did you think? Like, I thought they did a good job with it, because I love the books, and I think they stayed as true to the story as they could with the time they were given, you know? Codex Alara? Really? A Pokemon in Ancient Rome? Maybe I need to go back and re-listen to that one. It's been a while. See, the face cam and pottery cam looks like two different feeds, so is it like second nature for you now? Pretty much. Like I like doing this, like throwing is probably the easiest thing for me to stream. Especially when I'm doing like the repetitive like production work, because I don't really have to think about what I'm doing, so I can look at chat. And so if some of you feel like you're missing part of the conversation, I am multi-streaming, and so we have Cloverfields talking to us from Kick, so welcome. But we're also streaming on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. There we go, like Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Kick. And so Polly, her next two books that she's written after those first three, focus on different characters. Like the first one, what is Matthew's like vampire son? Now I can't even think of his name. His like girlfriend, his name is Phoebe. Now I can't even think of his name, but it's his story. It's his and Phoebe's story. And then this next book is focusing more on like the back story of the witches. It's expanding the world of the witches. Clover, what is my favorite thing to make? So seriously, so I'm a full-time potter here. So my favorite thing to make is something that's already sold, like what I'm making now. I'm filling orders. So all of the pieces that I'm making right now have a home they're going to. Maybe tomorrow I'll be making some pieces for inventory, but for the most part, like, it's very nice to be able to know that what you're making is already spoken for, rather than thinking, oh, am I ever gonna sell this? Am I gonna, how long am I going to be holding on to this? How many do I make? How many, how much do I take to a show? So we do a little bit of everything. We go to shows, like we're going to be going to TwitchCon this weekend with some stock, and we have a retail store. We have online sales where people can order from stock or do custom orders. And then we do wholesale as well, which is what a lot of these are for. And I'm going to brag a little bit because I'm very honored to be making these mugs that I'm making, because they're going to a folk school. They're going to a school that teaches pottery, that has other potters selling stuff in their gift shop. But they came to us, they came to me wanting custom logo mugs, and so I'm very, very honored to have been chosen to make custom art school logo mugs. When they could have just gone, in-house for that. So, Marcus, thank you. I kept thinking Benjamin. I'm like, no, that's the other one. That's all I could think of. Do I make cool coffee mugs? Do I ever? So that's what I'm making now. If you go to our website, which you're on Kick, so I have to post a link here. What do you think of as a cool coffee mug? I guess that's a different that's a matter of opinion, but let me do this. I'll post this link where everybody can see it. There we go. So that's our website. And then, so I'm playing the mud on Twitch, but our business is Polly Studios. So if you go to our website, it's pollystudios.com. We're Polly Studios on Twitter and Facebook. Did it not do it? Did it not go through? Yes, do 2 pounds. Yeah. Oh, yep. They're all yours? Okay. I'll try not to disturb Kiba's steps. Yeah. Got our clay boxes stacked under my table here, and we've got them like stacked up so that Kiba can have steps so he can get up here. Okay. Okay, I had to refresh the restream, so if I need to post that again, I will. Oh, Polly, you're currently working your way through Interview with a Vampire Season 2. That looks so good. I saw like the first 2 episodes of Season 1. And so it's something I wanted to finish, but I hardly ever get to just sit down and watch TV, which is why I tend to I go through a lot more books and podcasts than anything else. Because that's the easiest media for me to consume, because I need to look at what I'm working on, right? So, but I can listen. It's like we haven't seen Beetlejuice yet. Like the only movie we've seen in a really long time was Deadpool, which was very good. But we wanted to see Beetlejuice, and there's a couple theaters around us who's showing Blazing Saddles for the anniversary. Good luck, Underground. Nope. Ooh, it's taco soup. What the other thing I guess that came out recently was the Rings of Power season 2. Because it debuted the weekend we were at Dragon Con. Because we could have watched the first couple episodes. They had a debut party, watch party, whatever it's called. Premiere, that's the word, premiere party. So like so when the first season came out, like they had a huge like booth set up at TwitchCon, like just promoting it, so you could sit and watch the first like couple episodes. They made up a little theater. So I wonder if they'll be doing that again. Last year they were promoting some different TV show. I don't know what it was. I'm also looking forward to the next Wheel of Time season. Oops, let's get that out of there. You hear Wheel of Time season 3 is going to be book 3 and 4. That would make sense. That really would. That's kind of how they've been doing Outlander too. Like the last season combined like events from several books, and it just makes a lot of sense. You can move a lot faster when you're doing a visual story than when you're having to sit there and explain everything. Now I've got to go back and see what happens in book 3 and 4. So or just see where book 4 ends. Because I've always just read them like straight through, so they all blend together. Well, they did. They didn't do men the way like I thought they would. And they left Avienda and Rand haven't even met, and she's with Perrin. So I wonder if they'll bring it back together. I've been mostly like I've actually not been really disappointed at all in anything they've done. I've liked the changes they've made because they're trying to move it along, and I think they've stayed true to everybody's characters. So instead of being annoyed, I'm like, okay, how are they going to put this together? Like I know how it ends. And tell me this, like I was talking to Daniel, I'm like, I need to reread parts of this because when does Fael come into the picture? Shouldn't we have seen her already? But maybe not. Maybe not. They left out Elaine's brothers. Didn't they mention Galad? I thought they mentioned Galad. And I don't know if he would have been with the White Cloaks already. I mean, they just bypassed Camelin altogether. We haven't even seen Camelin, have we? And so if anybody's wondering now, we're talking about the Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. And see, I'm looking at like you're typing the words. I've only ever actually read the first book. Everything else has been audiobook, so I don't know how anything's spelled. So sometimes when I'm like reading about things and I see somebody's name, I'm like, who is that? That's how it's spelled? What? Oh, really? The beginning of book 3. Okay, okay. When Perrin and Moraine head to Tyr chasing Rand. Okay, okay. So book 3 is the Stone of Tyr. Okay. So book 4 is probably then, that's when you meet all the Aiel and the wise women. Is that when that is? You're the same way with the pronunciations because you've only read the books, yeah. So ask me questions. I'll tell you how it's pronounced. I saw somebody spell out Telairon Riad, and I'm like, how in the world? Like, I have so much respect for Michael Kramer and Kate Redding with, like, bringing life to all of these words. And Rodion. But then again, was one of the people, like, every time in the TV show when they say Tarvalon, I'm like, Tarvalon! That's how you say it. But in the books, you know, they overpronounce words too because it's, you know, they enunciate. Bunch of nerds, yeah. What were you saying about Jim Butcher? But even in, like, with the narrators, like, some of the names change from book to book on how they say them, how they pronounce them. So it's either, like, the Amerlin is either, that's another word that I would have had no idea how they spell that, Amerlin. It was, like, they go back and forth on whether it's Swan or Suan Sanche. Oh, yeah, you thought forever that the Aiel was pronounced ale, and I didn't know there was an A in there. But I can say, like, so I got into the book series, like, after Robert Jordan had passed away and when Brandon Sanderson was writing the last 3. So I think my first... I think the last 2 books I read in real time. So I came in very, very late. But I remember, like, all the excitement of the final book coming out and getting, you know, having all the conspiracy theories and having fun with it. So... Avienda. Like, I will never forget, there was like a room of people, this was at Dragon Con too, whatever year that was. There was a room of people like discussing like theories, like, you know, what's going to happen, who's going to be this, who's going to be that. And it was like somebody put forward, what if Loyal's mother is a dark friend? And like, there was an audible gasp in the room. You've only made it through book 11. How many are there? I forget. Is it like 14? Okay, I won't say any more because, like, I will say something. There are massive spoilers in this series, and so if you don't want it spoiled, then don't look at anything on the internet about it, because I did. I spoiled myself horribly. I was looking up a certain character and trying to find information about them, and I hadn't gotten anywhere near the end of the series, but I was looking stuff up, and I just, like, sat staring at the computer screen for a while. I was just in shock. There are 14, okay. And I remember, like, so when I was working at the time in a factory, and there were several people that around me who had read the series, who were encouraging me to read it, and, like, you know, also making fun of me and trying to feed me wrong information to see if I would believe them or not, you know, about the book series. And because that's what friends do, right? And and so, like, I remember when I found the spoiler, and I was just, like, in shock. Somebody came in and was like, what's wrong? I said, what's wrong? And I'm like, such and such is a dark friend. I didn't how is such and such a dark friend? So at least I had somebody to commiserate with. You're the same way when the Harry Potter series was coming out. Yes. It's so much fun sometimes to get, like, caught up in the hype of it all. Yeah, pacing yourself and trying not to binge them and burn yourself out. Yeah, because they are such, like, big long reads, especially when you're reading them. Like, I can get through one of the books in a week, which they're like, you know, 30, 40 hours of listening. I think in my last run, I got through, like, book 6 before I, you know, needed to take a break. There's a mini. Mini mini. Mm-hmm. Come on. Was it 13? I thought it was a lot earlier than that when he died. Like, see, I went into Dresden Files knowing, like, all of that, because I think, like, my first introduction to Jim Butcher's writing was, like, a book of short stories where he had submitted one, and it was like a short story right after he had died. You know, it was like Molly's perspective right after he had died, and so I went in knowing that would happen at some point. All I see is a tail off the ground. And we got Kiba too. Well, the other book series that the book that I just finished from another author, it's Jody Taylor, who does the Chronicles of St. Mary's books. They're like adventure time travel books, and but she's done a couple spin-off series, and this was one of her spin-offs that she released, all in the same world, just with different characters. You just got The Way of Kings, yeah. I enjoyed that one too. That one, like, it took me a while to took me a couple of tries to get into that one. And I think that's more just how, like, Brandon Sanderson writes. There is no introduction and character development. He throws you right in the middle of a story and you just learn as you go. Have you read the Mistborn series? The say it's okay for the Mistborn series. Like a lot of his works and his earlier stuff, because Mistborn was that and Elantris was written at the same time. It was like the very first thing he published, so it was very it's his like first attempts. But the world building and the magical systems are are very very well done. Yeah, he's up front. I think it is nowhere near treat time, but apparently the cats think it is. Oh yeah, welcome back. You listened to the first Mistborn. It was okay. You thought you'd give him another try since you're going to have to deal with him at the end of Wheel of Time. Yeah. The quotes at the beginning of every chapter. I have to go back and look and see what that is. Because I don't remember. But that does, like, that says a lot about, like, that fits his writing style, because when you're, like, just thrown into a story, you don't, what are these quotes? Like, you don't appreciate it until the second read through. Which I can say, going back and rereading the Wheel of Time is a completely different experience. Like, the first read through, you're experiencing everything from the character's perspective, like whoever's eyes you're looking through at the time. Going back, it, like, you catch all the subtle humor of and all the other things that are going on. It's like all thoughts of a person seconds before they die. Maybe I need to go back and reread it, because I feel like I should know that. Like, it sounds familiar. I don't remember why. Oops. Alright, I've got room for 4 to 5 more. So now I've got to decide what I'm going to listen to on the plane. What book am I going to listen to? A new book? Get a couple of new books, and then have a couple that I can re-listen to if I don't like the new books. No, I've not even heard of that one. Dragon Bone Chair Trilogy. I'll have to look that one up. Lots of amazing character development. I like that. I like predominantly fantasy, and I do really enjoy like magical systems. Since we're in the fall kind of Halloween season, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about books about witches and different things, so I'm kind of seeing if any of that sounds interesting to me. The Dragon Prince. Yeah, I'm going to have to read a little bit of Fourth Wing just so I can know what it's about. So everybody asked me if I'm going to have Fourth Wing mugs. Because we have a like, well, a lot of like book inspired mugs, but this year we added the ACOTAR book series like themed mugs to the collection. Oh, Polly, are you talking about Fourth Wing? Yeah, so the book that I was been most recently reading, like I finished it and I'm going through a re-listen. Like there is a meme out there of like if everything like everything is going great, like the love interest is happy with the person they want to be with, the dogs and the cats are all alive in the book and everything is going so well, and then you look down and you see there's still 100 pages left. And like you don't want to go on, you have to go on, but you don't want to go on. Like everything is going so well, but it can't stay that way. And that's what happened in this book. Talking about cliffhangers, I'm like, oh, they're wrapping everything up. This is gonna be good. Oh, I've got 2 hours left. But yay, I've got 2 hours left. It's not over, but oh man. You killed your favorite character right at the end. Oh no. But it's a fantasy book. They might be back. Oh no, you hate crying at work. Oh no. All right, I can do 2 more. There we go. Why, hello, Kiba. Yeah, come on. You're just in time. This is my last one. Come on. See, there's his clay box steps. Spook, hey, thank you for the resub. Welcome. I'm not leaving just yet. We got Kiba up here. We'll get some kitty pets in. Uh-huh. Come on. I'll help you. Come on. There we go. Kiba has a suspicious scratch on his nose. He's not saying anything about it, and neither is Minnie, but... There we go. See? There we go. That's a happy face. And there is an almighty purr. He's also been under somebody's car, because that's not supposed to be a black spot there. He's been laying under our neighbor's car and on their next to their back door, because we're in our buildings here. We're like right next to each other. We share a wall, so our back doors are parallel. And I don't know. I didn't know why, but like he had been laying on their doormat and just snoozing there. Had no idea why, but then come to find out, like, we get here kind of early in the morning. We get here before they do, and so let the cats out. He goes over and sits on their doormat and waits for them to come in the morning so that he can get pets from them as they come in. Ooh. Sorry, I know it's so undignified. Oh, you're at your friend's house in Iowa. He has two kitties, Ash and Cinder. The first is white and the second is black. Oh. See, I was going to guess Cinder would be like an orange cat. Whoops. Mm-hmm. He actually chose his water bowl. He's been drinking out of my clay water. He's been drinking out of a puddle outside. That's the first time today he's actually drank out of his water bowl. That tail. I'm going to move this out of the way. Whoa. That one hopped. What's up, Manny? Mm-hmm. Come on. You gonna come say hi to everybody, too? Mm-hmm. So here's Manny. Covered in burrs. Oh, yeah, I'd love to see the pictures. Yeah. You gonna stay with us for a bit? No. Come on. She's like, move out of the way. There you go. Kiba's drinking from his custom-made water bowl. So, like I said, Daniel's on his way to TwitchCon, and I'm going to be joining him. I'm flying out super early Thursday morning because we set up for the show Thursday, and then TwitchCon is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's our plans for the weekend. Yeah, safely. It's like where there's a will, there's a way. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come back this way. Come on. I know you don't want to get your feet wet. All right, so I should be looking here to see what who all's on right now. You know what? Zakayla is just starting. Let's go see what they're doing. Let's go over here. Yeah, I'm gonna try to be back tomorrow and do one last stream before TwitchCon. So, but we know how that sometimes goes. But here we go. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. I should be back tomorrow doing more of the same. I'm going to be doing some throwing just to have some things to dry out for when we get back, because we've got another show like 2 weeks after TwitchCon. So just trying to make some more things. But I will see y'all later. Thank you for watching and have a good evening. Let's go see what Zakayla's up to today. Here we go.